I need to sew. I'm finishing up costumes for my god babies, and then I just have some random clothes that have holes in them that I just need to mend. Just gonna throw in whatever crafting I'm happen to be doing. Let's see how this goes. So I have this. It's going to be eventually a frill, but so I already sewed it and I'm flipping it inside out. So when you flip something inside out after sewing it, it's got a corner like this. You want to trim that corner down, or else it's going to be all bunched up against the seam in a corner. And so this one, I'm just straight cutting right across. If it was like if it wasn't a Halloween costume for a 5-year-old, I would do like a V so it would fit in together. But yeah, they're 5-year-old boys and they're gonna like destroy these within a month because I'm sure they're gonna be playing in them. So I am literally cutting corners. So you're just gonna push the corner up, and it's a thicker fabric, so it's gonna be a little bunched up in the corners anyway. But yep, we're just gonna push that out and push this up, and we have the lovely shape for our Triceratops, because they're gonna be dinosaurs. All right, just turning the tail inside out. If you watched the video last week, I'm sorry, it was nonsense. I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to be in reverse. Like, you know, you have your makeup on and then you take your makeup off. And I wanted the video just to be taking makeup on reverse. It didn't work that way because the editor that I use doesn't just have like a reverse button. And I haven't figured out how to do that. So it was either post nothing or post garbage. So I went with garbage. It's like Dadaism, I don't know. They're not all going to be gems. In fact, none of them are probably gems. So I have the frill attached to the little hood. I'm working with very thick fleece. It's not terribly thick for that standards. And you always got to make sure you're being careful with thick fabrics. I changed the needle already. It's a good needle for this thickness. It's a nice, big, super stabby needle. Starting in the middle of the fabric. I broke many needles while making masks earlier this year because the foot would be tilted because you're going from less thickness to more thickness when I was going over like the folds on the side of the mask. And you know, you want to get on top of it. You want your foot, your foot, this little guy, to be nice and flat, because if he's angled, then the needle is going to whack into it and break and make horrible noises and scare the crap out of you. So that's on there, but that's, well, not what I call little boy proof. So I'm going to zigzag over to give it a little bit more staying power. And now for the little horns. So I'm going to sew on this side sew a little bit onto there so it attaches. Makes the frill stand up a little bit more because you're sewing it onto itself. Trying to explain visual things in my head, thoughts. Hey, that makes it stand up a little better. I should have put interfacing in it. I should make it actually stand up. But I didn't. And now it's not going to look quite as good if I had. I guess it was just too thick. It was just too many layers. So we're just going to hot glue that later. I'm going to hot glue it. That'll be great. Means we're also going to hot glue the little nose. It'll stand up a little better. So it'll be glued to a point instead of sewed into a seam. Easiest way to ever find a random midpoint is just take the sides and fold it in half, and there's your midpoint. And then we have our cute little tail. Our cute little tail. Our cute little head. It's going to be glued later. Avoid the middle part because that's just too much thickness, because I have this cute little plates running down his back, and we're just going to avoid that because it's just too much thickness. Put it right to left, because that way, since sewing machines and, well, everything else is based on right-handed people, and we put it in, and now the head of the pin is facing me, so I'll be able to slide that out real nice. So, sew a little, come back up, slide the needle out. My machine does not like this thickness in general. Cute little tail. We have our Stegosaurus. their little tail. Stegosaurus. And of course the Stegosaurus needs its Thagamizers at the end. Yeah, they're called Thagamizers. Yes, it is after the Gary Larson cartoon. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun that like a cartoonist, like he made a cartoon making a joke, and they were like, hey, you know what? That makes about as much sense as anything. We're just going to call it that from now on. This is tough, because it's a little corner action, but it's still thick. It's still... This is not the best thing to work with. I don't recommend any of this if you are new to sewing. I really recommend it in general. Costumer can tell you, we make a lot of stuff, mostly poor life choices. I should redo the bobbin as well. You should always rethread the bobbin whenever you're rethreading the machine, because whenever something goes wrong, it's almost always the bobbin. Likes to... It's a very, very mischievous machine part. And then we have our Thagamizers. This is just felt. I did double thickness of felt and then just ran one seam down the entirety of it. But we have our cute little Thagamizers. Is it cosplay perfect? No! It's adorable. They're gonna be so cute. I made sure the T-Rex is short sleeve. The other ones are long sleeve. The T-Rex is short sleeve. I'm hilarious. Because I made my own pattern for this. I didn't have any kids patterns. I used to have a ton of kids patterns, and then I got rid of them. So I just kind of had to make my own pattern for these. And I was like, well, you know, the sleeve is kind of shaped like this, and this is kind of shaped like that. And got the general measurements and just went with it. You know, because I didn't want it to be too fitted. No need for it to be tight. But not tripping over it. But baggy enough that they can play and romp and jump and run and do all that fun kid stuff. So our little sleeveys are done. I'll set them to the side. And there's a whole lot of eyeballing going on because I made my pattern. Kind of have to also decide where to start and end and what goes where. Okay. And yeah, the hood. This is just like the shape of the hood. I cut this for the T-Rex, so I cut this one up more because that's how a T-Rex's mouth is shaped. Yeah, the first focus was on how cute it is. The second focus was definitely, you know, ridiculousness. Then the seam at an angle, so when I open it, it lays a little bit flatter. So we pinned the teeth to the top of the hood. So I'm just going as close to the edge as possible to get as much lovely teeth as we can. So now we're doing the body of the torso. So because, yeah, just kind of make it on my own, I had to take the sleeve and measure that against the fabric to see where the side seam should end. So I'm going to do that same thing with the neck. I'm going to figure out my center point. There's my center point, and that will be the neck hole, because right now I'm doing my eyeballing of the shoulder seam. So we got our shoulder seams. So now we flip this. All right, so the sleeve is already inside out. So we always do right sides together. Right side is the side that the world sees. Wrong side is the inside of fabric. So when doing sleeves or like a teddy bear neck, anything that's a small concave shape, I like to do inside the small part instead of outside the small part. You know, sometimes if it's big enough and can go, you know, you can move the little extra bit and go around the arm of the sewing machine. It's one thing, but I don't know, I just find it easier to, because if I'm going on top of the small bit, I usually sew it to itself, and then that's a mess. You gotta rip it out and redo it. Anyone who has made doll clothes is my hero. I made teddy bear clothes once, not doing that again. So just flipping it outside to check. yep, there's our little sleevey. Well, short sleevey hood. Flip it inside out. Make the, just gonna kind of match up the body part inside out. Find the midpoint. Midpoint gets lined up with the back seam, because that's, back seam is of course down the middle. Stick a pin in that, and then just kind of go around, pin periodically. You can keep it all together. Tuck that in the garment so it's out of the way. Bless you, O'Malley. Alright, so again, this is a small little circle that we're working with, so I'm going to be stitching inside. And then we flip it inside out. And now we've got our cute little sleeve, and a cute little sleeve, and a cute little dinosaur. Rawr, rawr. Alright, so now I'm going to attach the tail to this side, because this is the back. Don't want to attach the tail to the front. This was just a big old triangle tail. So we just flip it inside out. And then just pin the tail using the back seam as a straddler for the midpoint. Alright. Wiggle it on into here. Thought that's what that noise was. The bobbin's out. Just been sewing with air for a minute. Kind of hear it sometimes. It's like, is that sound? Of course it is. You know it is. Alright. Just grabbing white to finish off this last little bit. That's just a bobbin that I already have full. And no one should be looking under their tails anyway. Like, hey, if someone says, "Excuse me, little boy, under your tail is white instead of yellow," you should say, "Sir, you are too close to me." Alright, there's the seam, and there's the tail. And there's the cute little tail for the cute little dinosaur. Rawr! So I just gotta glue and clip seams. Now I got some other things. What do I have? So I have this. This is gonna be painted balls because it's very, very stretchy fabric. And oddly enough, that green matches, so I'm gonna leave that on. And just do a black bobbin. Yep. And I'm going to change the needle because this needle is way too big for the fabric that I want to work on. Alright, so where's the hole? So there's ugly hole. So, yeah, I'm going to slide the fabric just up because it just came apart at the seam. I don't know if it was ever attached. Maybe it was like that from the beginning. But yeah, so like the fabric just, apparently it's not very expensively made. So the way I'm going to do this, since I do not have like industrial machine or a serger, we're not using a serger, the trick with this is going to be stretching the fabric out as we go. Because if you just sew flat on it, as soon as the fabric stretches, it's going to pop out your seams because your thread isn't stretchy like the spandex nonsense that I'm wearing. So we want to just make sure that we keep that up there. I hate stretch fabric. I hate sewing on stretch fabric. I live in stretch fabric. I really should be doing a zigzag with this. So I always imagine that I have to go like 4 inches further than I actually do because the machine can sense when a project is done or about to be done, and that's when it breaks. So just a little mental tip for you, just like picture in your mind, envision put it out into the universe that you want to go 6 inches further than you do, or 4 inches, or just something. It looks like it's not a hole. Looks like it's not a hole. Fabric, like gauzy nonsense that it's gonna suck. Change our thread. Pop in a different bobbin. Gonna nudge the fabric ever so slightly up into that seam. There's already a little top stitch, so we're just going to follow that top stitch. Trying not to get too much fabric pulled up because then it would be uneven. It's not like the seam came apart, it's just the fabric. Got tired of fighting, so it just ripped. Need to go a bit before the tear starts, just to give yourself some room. And then you go a little after it. Where did purple come from? I swear, I have a purple boa, and I just like periodically find purple and stuff because the feathers just do their own thing. So, other than the fact there's a tiny bit of purple feather sewed onto my cute little peasant top now, doesn't look so bad. So, yeah, it has purple feather now. I mean, everything's better with some purple feathers. It's that or cat hair. The cat hair will come later. Things, making stuff out of stuff. Maybe I have kitty ears after all, because some of the Stegosaurus was too long, so I don't know. Happy Halloween, everybody. Goodbye.